Hello, welcome to BADM 762, Business and its Environment. My name is Devi Dykstra. I'm the Associate Dean of the Beacom School of Business, and I am a professor of business law. I've been fortunate to have been with USD and been able to serve in several and various capacities. A few highlights of these capacities include directing the State Data Center, where I undertook socioeconomic and demographic research. I was liaison between the state of South Dakota and the U.S. Bureau of the Census. I served on the National State Data Center Steering Committee, serving as its secretary, and I received an outstanding award from the U.S. Bureau of the Census. After that, I taught law and law-related classes. I started the Beacom School of Business's Career Success Center, where I helped be kind of a matchmaker between students and employers looking for new graduates. I also started and managed the first University of South Dakota Technology Transfer Officer. That's where we evaluated faculty's inventions to determine whether or not they had not only scientific value, but also research or also business value, market value. And then did things like licensing and doing licensing agreements and those types of things with respect to the university technologies, as well as working on patents and copyright. I served as the interim department chair here in the Beacom School of Business as for the Entrepreneurship, Marketing, and Management Department, and I'm now the Associate Dean of the Beacom School of Business. In this particular role, I'm very involved with the Prairie Family Business Association, which is a key Beacom School of Business outreach program. I am on the board of directors and I serve as treasurer of that association. I'm also on the board of directors of First Bank and Trust in Brookings, and I am on the Fishback Financials Audit and Compliance Committee. So that's just a little bit of history about me. I have been here in Vermilion for several years, and I'm married with a couple of children who are now adults and on their own. So that's kind of a fun thing. I'd like to introduce us to the course a little bit so that you have a little bit of a background. We all know that businesses today operate within a complex and very dynamic and increasingly global environment. This course addresses how forces in the business, government, and society groupings shape our world. Social responsibility is a major consideration for businesses today, and it is critical to strategic planning. And it is something that is a key focus of this particular course. Your textbook is very heavy on corporate social responsibility. We will be adding some things to the textbook to ensure that we have enough of the governmental and the legal and regulatory components involved. So we'll be adding a few things as we move through the chapters. Social responsibility, we'll refer to it as either corporate social responsibility or often CSR. That's been linked to positive financial performance, and most boards of directors as well as business managers are going to need to adequately address issues and social issues that are related to such areas as consumer protection, corporate governance, innovative technologies, sustainability, and of course, other emerging social issues. This course, as I indicated, undertakes a corporate social responsibility or CSR approach as a strategic framework for our ability to understand the relationships between business, government, and society. So it'll be the framework that we use as we progress through this particular class, and it is a framework that you will be expected to use as you move through your careers. Business schools need to teach 3 core competencies according to the Financial Times. These include understanding the context within which organizations work through both internal and external environments. So the very first module that we have will introduce us to stakeholder theory and, of course, to the 7 key environments within which business operates. So knowing how organizations work through these internal and external environments will then revolve around who are the key stakeholders for each of those environments. So we're going to get introduced into stakeholder theory and stakeholder theory within operations and understanding how they work within the markets. And that's a key thing as well, understanding how the markets work. That's the third key core competency. So the key core competencies are understanding the context within which business operates, knowing how organizations work through internal and external environments, and then understanding how markets work themselves, and that will be a key focus of competition. This course provides a great foundation for the understanding and acquisition of these core business competencies. So we will explore the relationships that exist between business enterprises and individuals, between business enterprises, individuals, and governments. BADM 762, Business and Its Environment, consists of an examination of the environment within which contemporary business operates, with an emphasis not only on CSR, but also very, very importantly, ethics, as well as an emphasis on selected laws and regulations that impact both national and international operations of business enterprises. So the focus will be on things like laws and regulations, corporate social responsibility, and ethics. Those will be the key components that we need to be thinking about, and they're critical to overall strategic operations of a business. The course is usually taught over about 16 weeks. We are in a condensed summer session, and so we will each 5 days start a new module. So I've divided the course into modules. The first module is chapters 1 and 2. It's kind of the introduction to the course. We'll address corporate social responsibility and its framework, and then we'll be introduced to stakeholders and stakeholder theory along with the 7 key environments. This is the textbook we will be using. It looks something like this: Business and Society, a Strategic Approach to Social Responsibility and Ethics. There are some things that are not in this textbook that we will be adding, and so that will be either through additional reading materials. There'll be a few of those, maybe 2 or 3 is all, but then also in the video lectures that I will post for each module. So we'll in the first module then talk about the social responsibility framework, stakeholders and stakeholder theory, and then the third component will be the 7 key environments. So those will be the key things in that first module. At the end of this particular welcome, I'll talk about what the first assignments or the first module looks like as far as the specific expectations. The second module, because this focuses on ethics as well, will introduce the ideas of methods for identifying ethical issues, common types of business ethical issues that some of you have already been exposed to, but there'll be some new ones that we'll be thinking about. The ethical decision-making process will include ethical theories that will be useful for resolving ethical dilemmas, and then strategic approaches to improving ethical behavior, not only individually, but for the organization. These will be covered in chapters 6 and 7, and very importantly, there'll be an extra reading, 1 or 2 pages for that, as well as the video lecture. The third module addresses the governmental sector. Chapters 4 and 5 discuss governmental impacts on business, and also importantly, how business and society impact government. We'll discuss the governmental framework, regulation as well as deregulation, the political environment, selected federal laws, and we'll learn about specific areas of opportunity for businesses to interact with government. After Module 3, we'll have a midterm examination. It will include all the materials from Modules 1 through 3. All of our midterms will be closed book. I've already had a question on that, so I thought I'd let you know they will all be closed book. And I'll talk a little bit later about how you will not be required to have a proctor, but how we will deal with that. Module 4 focuses on two types of stakeholders. In Chapter 8, we discuss businesses' responsibility to the employee stakeholders and their impact, those employee stakeholders' impacts on business. And then in Chapter 9, the focus will be consumer stakeholders. That's Module 4. Module 5, the emphasis will be on 2 types of emerging issues for business. And note, these are not all of the emerging issues that businesses need to focus on, but these are 2 that have really risen to the forefront that businesses need to take a strategic approach upon. Chapter 11 focuses on emerging technology issues, while Chapter 12 addresses sustainability issues. Module 6 then goes over corporate social responsibility in a global environment. That's Chapter 13, and it also wraps up with Chapter 3, which is corporate governance. Then we wrap up the summer term with a final examination. Along the way, we'll have 2 or 3 assignments and some quizzes. So that's kind of what our time together will look like. So for pre-course preparation, what are some of the things you can do before we actually start with our first module? Well, one is to get your book, right? Business and Society. The authors are Farrell, Thorne, and Farrell. You can order it from the USBD bookstore, or you can order it online through the textbook company if you would like. It is the 7th edition. You will need, ISBN is listed in the course materials as well. I've been asked, do I recommend an electronic version or a paper version? I have no preference as to which you use. Just choose whichever type works best for you. Some people like paper, the feel of the pages. They like to be able to highlight and write notes in it with their hands. Others like to do so electronically. It's your choice, whichever you would prefer. The other thing you'll need to do is ensure that you have some reliable and sufficient technology. It's very critical that you have a reliable internet connection, and that will be absolutely critical for the exam. So make sure during the exams your internet connection is absolutely reliable. You will also need a webcam. That's because the MBA program, Master of Business Administration program assessments, some of them are embedded in this course. That's why our exams have to be closed book, and we will use Respondus Monitor and Respondus Lockdown in place of a proctor. That should be sufficient. I'll be able to monitor what it is you're doing. I can see if you're looking offline. I can see if you're using other resources. And if anyone does that, they'll get a 0 for the assignment. So make sure that you really do treat this as a closed book exam. But that also means, because this course has some embedded materials for the MBA assessment, not necessarily for course assessment, but for the overall program assessment, you will not be able to get your exams back. You won't be able to see your specific grades on a specific question, for example. You'll get your overall grade, but not specific. So those who do want feedback such as that, please send me an email, and I will get back to you with a summary of those areas where you were really excelled, and those areas where maybe you could use a little bit of correction or improvement. So I'll focus on those areas and provide you direct feedback. Just won't be able to get the exams back. You may want a multimedia headset. It's recommended, but it's optional. Earbuds will work for you, whatever you prefer there as well. And the other thing that's really important is to make sure that all assignments are submitted using Word. I need them in Word format. A PDF won't suffice, and I don't want you to use some other non-Word. So Microsoft Office Word, please use your assignments in that format so that I can open them up and grade them and that kind of thing. Also, you will probably have already done this, but make sure you've logged into D2L prior to midnight, July 2nd. The folks at the CDE, Center for Distance and Education, monitor our courses to see if people are engaged with them. And if not, if people are not engaged, meaning they haven't logged into the course, they may administratively drop you. So to avoid that, just make sure you've logged in by July 2. And because we're working in such a whirlwind fashion, you'll want to do that, because our first module, looking up here, the time sheet, our first module starts June 29th and goes through July 3rd. It's our introduction, so this video includes that. You'll be reading chapters 1 and 2, watching the module lectures. I'm going to have one on CSR and one on stakeholders. So we'll have two short videos for you to watch in addition to this welcome letter or the welcome video. And then each module, I will hold a Zoom office hour that you can choose to attend or not attend. They'll be recorded. The first one is on July 1st, starting at 5 p.m., goes from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time. You'll have a quick introduction post about yourself, so I can learn more about you, and your colleagues in the class can learn more about you. And then there'll be the first assignment. It's an application assignment. The first assignment deals with being able to identify stakeholders, and that will be uploaded into the Dropbox by July 3rd. We do get Independence Day off, so take that day off and have a great time. And the rest of the details are in the tentative schedule. So that's kind of where we're headed in that arena. If at any time during this course you have a concern or a question, please let me know. Please email me at Dykstra, Dykstra, at usd.edu. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Because I am the associate dean, I'm in meetings a lot, so I may not be able to respond immediately, and I'm not usually in my office to answer phone calls. So that's why email is really the best way to get in touch with me. In most cases, I'll be able to respond with you within 24 hours. The weekends, it may be a little bit longer than that, but during the week, within 24 hours, you'll get a response. Remember, we're going to be moving very, very quickly. I'm very excited to meet all of you. Welcome to BADM 762, and I'm excited about our short term together.